Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about what is the most desirable immigrant to come to the West, or to any advanced economy, but of course the West in this instance. So it's firmly back on the agenda, or certainly all Western governments are either talking about it or in the case of the United States, doing everything they can to draw in as many black and brown third world peasants as they possibly can. To what effect, goodness knows. But the story backdrop, or the propaganda backdrop to this is, and certainly in Western Europe, Britain, Australia, and so on, is that there's some terrible skills shortage, a shortage of skills that are needed in the Western economies. Now, anyone who's getting out and about and having a look at things knows that's a grotesque untruth. It is a complete lie. It is propaganda, wall to wall. But nonetheless, that's the story they're pushing in the media. Of course, globalist controlled is dutifully pushing that storyline, and all the Western governments, again, globalist owned and controlled, are parroting those talking points. But clearly, the people that are being brought in aren't needed. They're far from it. Or not needed for the economy at least. So why are they being brought in? But more importantly is what is a desirable immigrant to come to an advanced Western economy. So let's have a little look at that. Now, there are some push and pull factors going on with this mass people migration. The pull factor is Western businesses want the cheapest possible labour they can get. They're happy to accept inflation in property prices, in share prices, and so on, or in price inflation in the products they sell. But wage inflation is something they go absolutely insane about. That's the one no-no. That is the one and only no-no, wage inflation. All other inflation is fine, but not wage inflation. So this is where they'll go running to the government. The minute there's any wage pressures, they go bleating and screaming to the government, and the globalists are sort of in control of the government. So, and the big corporations are very much globalist players. So the governments, Western governments, perceive themselves as pretty much obligated to bring in as many new workers as they can. Now, this is, of course, a way of bypassing natural market forces. Now, whenever you bypass market forces, then the price signals, the value signals that are sent off are just not, they're not accurate, they're not reliable, they're not relating to any reality. And so when you bypass market signals, and it could be a monopoly or an oligopoly or cartel pricing or anything, but when you bypass the market, which is what these companies want to do, then they're receiving false signals and they're making business decisions based on those false signals. But there's also various push factors. The international NGOs and the United Nations and a whole cacophony of activists in and around the third world. They're running the refugee camps and all sorts of things like that. They're going to these simple-minded brown and black peasants and they're saying, do you know why you're poor? Do you know why you're dirt poor? It's not because you're in a country that's racked by civil war or racked by various civil strife, such as religious wars or tribal wars, it's nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with the fact that your people are lazy and you've had your thousands of years technologically behind the West. No, that's not it. It's because you guys were really, really fucking rich. It's those damn white people stole it off you. Stole it, everything stole. You would have a waterfront mansion with a hot car, hot blonde babes and the whole thing if those white people hadn't stolen it all from you. Is that right? Is that right? And next thing you know, they're saying, well, gee, you got to go to the West. You got to go to America or Britain or wherever, Australia. You got to go there and take back what's yours. All the wealth they've got is what they stole from you. It's your wealth. So you go over there and take it back because you damn well deserve it. That's why you're poor. No other reason. Hey, holy fuck, I better get over there and get my... So, yeah, and you can get a free house, free education, free healthcare. Holy crap, I'm going as quick as I can. But that's still not enough because they couldn't make the journey. that they can't even conceive of a map. They don't know where any of these countries are, and they've got no concept of it. So the NGO activists go, hey, not a problem. Look, we'll show you where to go. It'll be all signposted. We'll give you clothes. We'll give you food. We'll give you shelter on the way. We'll make sure you got plenty of water. You know, if there's an area of desert that you can't cross, we'll make sure there's buses and you know, various vehicles to get you across that. Not a problem. We'll get you right up to the front door, and then off you go. And then the NGO organisations in France or Britain or Mexico or whatever, they'll take care of you from there, and they'll get you right up to the border, and then we'll deliver you right into the thing. And without that infrastructure and support and help, there's no way these people would be able to make the journey, let alone want to make it. And these people don't travel one out or one off. Half the village goes with them, you know, cousins and aunts and uncles, the whole 9 yards, and off they go. So there's push and pull factors here. But coming back to what sort of, if indeed there is a skill shortage, and let's hold them and keep them at their word and say, okay, there's a skill shortage. Let's have a look at these skills, and let's make sure that only people with those skills have or are able to get entrance to the West. If we just look at that alone, these people are all coming from third world countries where their universities and their colleges produce degrees and qualifications that aren't recognised anywhere. Most of them are obtained corruptly. So, or they're given out to someone because they're, you know, they've got connections in a certain tribe or that sort of thing. So people aren't actually educated. And having been well travelled around, you know, much of the world, including the third world, what we would pass, what in the West passes for a minimally acceptable education, is considered, you know, absolutely top of the town in some of these third world countries, or most of them. And the people that are doing that are so well connected and so corrupt that they're doing very nicely. Thank you. They don't come to the West. They're doing okay, you know, corruptly okay in their own countries. So it's the people at the next levels down who are attracted by all the thought of all this free stuff, and who are simple enough to be swayed by these silly arguments from the NGO activists that you know, all these rich countries, they're only rich because they took your money. So we're not getting the best of the people from these countries. They're not educated in anything. Most of them have left, have maybe had 2 or 3 years of schooling, 4 years of schooling, and that's at some bush school by someone who's a teacher who's not even qualified anyway. So they're the people that are coming in. Now their chances of getting jobs outside of, you know, basic cleaning and dishwashing and that sort of stuff is about zero. So and if you offer them free language classes and all that sort of thing, 99% of them won't turn up and can't be bothered. They'll disappear into their own community. Then they start claiming benefits and trying to get the free housing and the, you know, all the other bits and pieces that, by the way, all these Afghan so-called refugees are getting in England at the moment, being put up for free in a hotel with meals. And once you do that for them, they think they're entitled to it. They think, oh, well, if you're giving it to me, I must be entitled. What the NGOs told me about you evil white folks stealing everything from us, that must be true. Otherwise, you wouldn't be giving me all this stuff, because you're guilty because of all the bad things you did. So the NGO activists were right. You know, that blue-haired lesbian, she knew exactly what she was talking about. So this is how the structure comes in, and the attitudes that come in. So in Australia, at least, and there's been a report recently done on this, that at best, at absolute best, 15%, and that's putting a very sort of rose-coloured glasses look at it. 15% of all immigrants coming in of any value to the economy, and again, that's a very optimistic take. The reality is I would think less than half of that. So out of say in Australia where maybe you know, 300,000 immigrants come in, at best 15 to 20,000 are of any value to the economy. So my view is, and I'm more than happy if someone's got the qualifications, the expertise, they want to come to this, they want to assimilate, they want to be part of the Western the Western sort of economic and social and cultural experience. No reason why they go, come on in. I'm more than happy with that. But the amount of people that fit that bill around the world who want to make the move is tiny. And we need to understand that out of the world's, 7.5 billion people, 6.5 billion, or at least 6 billion, are living in what we would call relative poverty. So, there's a lot of motivation to want to come to the West, and that you understand that. But they haven't built this culture. They haven't built these countries. They've contributed nothing to it, and they want to walk in and then assume all the benefits that this culture that others have worked for is their own. They don't want to be part of it. They hate the country, and they hate white people, and they hate the way we live, but they want the free stuff. And that's the only reason they're coming in. That's hardly a basis for it. And even 2, 3, 4 generations down the track, most of them aren't assimilating and still want all the free stuff and still hate us. So that's hardly a good thing. But for the ones who want to come, now if you look at the out of the 6.5 billion people, there's probably I don't know, maybe 20 million, 30 million at the outside that you could say would be at sort of a first world ready level. That is to come in, take an above average pay job or even an average pay job and contribute to the local economy straight away with their skills and their work and their efforts and so on. And that they could be split across the entire West. So there's not really very many, but we're not even getting those. The West, for the most part, is getting the people that the NGO agitators are really pushing. They're pushing them at us and to the West. And these aren't the sort of people who are going to fit in. They aren't the people who speak any English or who have any understand or any qualifications or anything that's of any value to any Western economy. Now, the other aspect of this is there's a huge artificial economy in the West now that's only kept alive through bringing black and brown peasants to the West. Now, I don't mind so much if they're brought in, but on short-term work visas. So any marriage they have in Australia, any children they have in Australia is not recognised. They're in a 2 or 3 year work visa, and then they go back. Then after another 3 years, they can maybe come back again, that sort of thing. So bringing the low wage workers in to keep that artificial economy. But if you bring them in as migrants, then they've got a problem in terms of that entire artificial economy only kept alive through bringing peasants in. It becomes a Ponzi scheme where you just have to keep on bringing more and more peasants in just to feed this unsustainable bottom tranche of the economy where whether it's fruit picking or whether it's floor cleaning or some toilet cleaning, whatever. But that's the idea that those jobs can only be paid at a certain rate, not at market rates, but at a certain rate. And to keep that non-market rate, peasants had to be brought in from the third world, and this creates a massive artificial economy, which puts the entire economy out of balance, because now more and more of the economy is so artificial, that is not responsive to the market, but only responsive to how many peasants you can push in through the front door. Then there's an entire sort of fake economy that exists now within the overall economy, and that's going to come undone and have to unwind at some point. And I don't think it'll be pretty when it does. But coming back to the qualifications, there's not many people in the third world, which again has got over 6 billion people, and there's not many people in there of the ones that are qualified that can come and offer any value to the Western economies. They're just too far behind. An illiterate peasant from some rural area that has never even seen money before in their lives. And I've seen people in, say, even Papua New Guinea, and they come from the highlands and they've never seen electricity, electric light, or running water, or a flushing toilet, or these sorts of things before. Now these people, of course, want to come to a first world economy because they get all this free stuff and this, that, the next thing, and even in these villages that don't have really very much. They still have somewhere in the wider tribal area, there'll be somebody with a television, and they look at the soap operas, Dallas or whatever the soap operas on TV, and they think it's a reality. They think it's a documentary. They don't know. It's it's just a made up bit of nonsense. So that's it. So if the skills issue really is an issue, then there's very few people around the world who can come and fill them. If it's not an issue, then it's a horrible lie that's being told to the Western population, and I think that's close to the mark. But if there is a skill shortage, then start training people, for goodness sakes. Find people with aptitude, and then start getting them to do the work. Try and develop the local population. Isn't that more desirable than bringing in the globalists? Don't think so. The globalists want, let's stuff these white countries full of black and brown peasants. But it's no good for anybody. Ultimately, it won't be good for them. They see it as a quick fix for now, but ultimately it won't work for anybody, and it has to stop. And bring in skilled people. By all means, bring in skilled people that speak the local language. But other than that, stop bringing people in. It's ruining everything for everybody. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.